Okay, go. Hey everybody, welcome to Espresso with Saul. All right, today we're going to be comparing 22 auto-loading handguns with 22 revolver handguns. Why? Because I have a few of them, and I thought it'd be a good idea and entertaining to show you the differences and maybe even tell you what I like better. Oh, also today, on the way out here, I did run into, we're out here at the range, and unfortunately, they said because the fire danger is so darn high, I can't use any of my clangers today. So we're just going to be shooting at a target, maybe a couple different targets, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to do my usual. I even brought a 22 rimfire tree that I thought was going to be a blast to use for this, and now I can't do it. Oh. But anyway, I'll show you what I've got here on the table. This here is probably one of the most popular 22 autoloaders right here. Now, let me show you here what we've got. This is a Ruger Mark II, and essentially this is a 10-shot, 10+1 shot semi-automatic handgun, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I think these are single action autoloaders. The trigger pulls on them are fantastic. They're extremely accurate. This one doesn't have a bull barrel on it or anything fancy. This is just the standard Mark II. It's a very easy firearm to shoot. I enjoy shooting it. If there's one thing that bugs me about this pistol though, and it's probably because I don't shoot it near as often, is it has a European magazine release. See that here? I have to play with it and push underneath the grip right here in order to release the magazine. Not my favorite magazine release of all time, but I'm not using this as a combat handgun. I'm using this as a target, practice, and have fun pistol. So I think I can work around that. Next to it is a very, very similar semi-automatic 22. And this is a Browning Buckmark. Now this one does have more of a bull barrel on it, and it is also a single action auto-loading handgun. And it also holds 10 rounds plus one. Neat thing about this one though, it does have the magazine that I like. Here, let me throw the magazine release here, is right here on this side. So I press it and boom, out pops the magazine. I do like that better. For shooting, you know, Browning makes a fine handgun. For shooting, the Ruger might actually still be better. Let's move on down to the revolvers though. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 617. And the neat thing about this one is, this is a 10-shot revolver. Yes, you can get them with 6 rounds, but this one holds 10. Look at that. So it's pretty much, well, it is the same capacity except for the one in the tube as the autoloaders. The other neat thing is I've got speed loaders for them. More on these in just a minute. Now, on paper, you get one more round in the tube with the autoloaders. But to me, the revolver just has a little bit more of a reliability positive for them. And that's because .22 ammo is not always known as being the most high quality ammo out there. And if you're running some poor ammo, poor .22 ammo like I did in my .22 rifle video, well, these autoloaders are going to jam. They're going to lock up. You're going to have to clear them. In a revolver, you don't have to clear a jam. If it's a dud, if it doesn't go off at all, you just pull the trigger again and away you go. So, +1 for the revolvers right there. But one more round, I guess we do have another pro for the autoloaders. You're going to have to make the call on what's better. Oh, you know, comparing the trigger pulls, well, typically I practice in double action mode with this revolver, and it's a long trigger pull for double action, but it's not unpleasant. However, in target practice mode, wow, there's almost no creep at all. This 617 is very nice, very good shooting revolver. Okay, and then over here on the end, I have one more Smith & Wesson. And this is a Smith & Wesson Model 63. Here, let me show this to you. This is an 8-shot revolver. Well, that's pretty cool. Now, I do have a little bit of a complaint with this one. I can't shoot this one near as well as I can the 617. And why is that? Well, that's because of the short sight plane. You know, a lot of people, when they look at snub-nosed revolvers and smaller revolvers, they say they're not as accurate. Well, that isn't the case. They're actually just as accurate as any other quality pistol. The problem is with the shortened sight plane on these pistols, on these revolvers and autoloaders, when you get smaller ones, people have a tendency to not be able to shoot them quite as well. You know, that extended, the longer barrel just gives you more to look at. And what's the term? I would say you have a less, you're less likely to be off just a little bit when you're shooting the larger handguns, just because just a little bit of movement will affect a shorter sight plane handgun than a different one would. Did I explain that one well? No, perhaps I had way too many Shatner-esque pauses in it, but I think you get the drift. Okay, the neat thing about these revolvers is I have speed loaders for them. I'll tell you a little bit about these. This is not an advertisement, but I found these were the only ones I could find, and they're made by a company called Speed Bees. And I really like them. I think they're quality speed loaders. And they also have some other ones that are just plastic. But I think these metal ones, the earlier metal ones, are really good high quality. And the plastic ones work pretty much just the same. However, I would tell you, these are not tactical speed loaders. These are simply target shooting speed loaders. When you put these into a speed loading pouch, you know, these can just get knocked out of place and you can be missing a round or two. They don't lock in super well. They're just held in place by friction. So when you go to reload them, all you do is push down and it locks them in place, as opposed to like an HKS speed loader that you would put in, and those rounds are locked in. You have to twist it for them to drop in place, as opposed to these. So yes, they're high quality. I like them for what they are. Don't purchase them thinking that they're something else, because they're not. Okay. Oh, look over here. No, I didn't bring my crappy ammo today. I brought the CCI Mini Mag ammo. Got a bunch of things loaded up with them. I have plenty of .22 ammo. And once again, no, I'm not sponsored by them. They don't have a clue who I am. And I can just tell you, when I'm shooting 22s, if I want reliable ammo, I just go with CCI mini mags. They seem to have the best quality when it comes to rimfire ammo out there. The most consistent, I should say. Okay, did I miss anything on this table? Oh, you know, I told you about this 63. Yes, it's a little bit small, and so I didn't really like the shorter sight plane on it because I couldn't shoot it quite as well. I also think that the high vis front sight that's on here has something to do with that also. I prefer a blacked out target sight than I do these. I haven't blacked them out yet. I might do that someday, or I might just leave them as it is. One of the reasons why I purchased this is not because I particularly enjoy target shooting with it, but for new shooters, for beginners out there, this is a fantastic firearm to start with. It's smaller. A lot of new shooters might be, you know, smaller women and young adults and children and so forth. So this one is smaller. It works better in smaller hands, and we're not starting them off with an autoloader. We're starting them off with a revolver, so they don't have to worry about trying to clear jams and everything else. They can simply pull a trigger and see what it feels like without a tremendous amount of recoil. So that's why I have this. I really don't shoot it much at all, but we're going to shoot it today and see if I can hit anything with it. So let's take these over to the target that we have, unfortunately not the clangers, and see how they all work, see how well I do with each one. Okay, we're here at the target. I'm going to start off with the Ruger Mark II. Let's see how we do with it. Not a stellar group, but here, let's put in another magazine and see if we can improve upon that. Okay, let's go take a look at it. Well, it's about the size of my fist. Could probably use a little bit more shooting time with this. I don't bring it out of the safe very often, but hey, that's why we do this, isn't it? Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and patch these up, and we'll go over and get the next handgun. Okay, let's try out the Browning Buckmark, see how we do. Doesn't look too much different than the Ruger, does it? Maybe it looks a little better. Okay. Let's go take a look a little bit closer. Well, I'd say that turned out pretty good. Had a few flyers, but all are in the red. Can't complain. All right, let's move on to the 617. And we'll patch this up first. Well, there's not much cooler than an old school hunter holster. All right, I think what I'm going to do with the 617, we ended up putting up a new target. The center pasties weren't holding in place, so thought we'd give you a nice fresh target. And anyway, I'm going to shoot the first 10 rounds double action, and then the second 10 single action, see if we do any better. All right, let's see how we do. Oh, what am I doing here? Double action, not single action, Saul. Huh. Boy, that's annoying. 2 flyers? All right. Single action we go now. All right, let's take a look. Well, not a bad batch. I don't know why. A few times I'm aiming a little low. A lot of times, if you're shooting at your target and you have flyers low, it would be because you're anticipating recoil and leaning forward, but I certainly am not anticipating recoil with my 22, so must be just the way I'm looking at these sights or the way my hands jiggle when I'm shooting. But all right, we're going to patch this up, and now we're going to try out the Smith & Wesson Model 63. Okay. Another super cool hunter holster. I'm kicking myself. I left the hunter holsters for the Buckmark and the Mark II back at my home base. But let's shoot this Model 63, and the first 10, we're going to do it exactly the same way we did with the 617. First 10 double action, second 10 single action. I mean, not great, not horrible. I really don't like the red fiber optic sight on the front of this. It makes it more difficult to see that orange target. But let's do single action now. See if we can get it just a little bit tighter. You know, I just knew that was a flyer, and I was thinking about it on that last darn shot. So I don't know that I did any better single action with this one. Oh well, that's okay. Let's take a look at it a little bit closer. Okay, yes, that's my 6th shot. And I knew as soon as I squeezed the trigger what I'd done. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm already grumbling about it, and then I did it on the 8th shot too. So, oh, that's frustrating. Don't you hate it when you do that? I mean, it wouldn't have been too bad of a group for the lousy front sights and the short sight plane. But, okay, let's go back to the table. Let's talk about them a little bit. Well, how did we do? I didn't shoot the Mark II very well today. I even shot another 20 rounds off camera just to see what I was doing wrong. And you know what? That group wasn't any better. I don't know why, but I'm not getting rid of that one. I still enjoy shooting it. And quite frankly, I purchased this from a friend of mine who was passing away with cancer. And no, not Paul. His name was Butch, was his nickname. He retired as an E8 senior chief petty officer from the United States Marine Corps, and he was a good friend. So that's not going anywhere. However, I always liked Brownings too, and I thought I'd try out the Buckmark one day, a long time ago. And for some reason, I seem to shoot the Buckmark just a little bit better than I do the Mark II. I seem to shoot that one better than even the 617 today. For cool factor though, I got to tell you the 617 is probably the coolest one in my opinion on the table. Now, it's also the most expensive. I think I paid under 600 and some change for this one. But nowadays, the revolver prices, especially for these Smiths, are through the roof. $700, $800, $900 or more. It's just crazy what they're going for. You know, you can probably get the Mark II and the Buckmark for half of what the 617 goes for nowadays. And then as far as the 63 goes, I have that for a reason, not for target shooting for me. Like I mentioned, that's more of a training firearm than anything else. I don't particularly enjoy shooting it very often, but it does have a great trigger pull. If I was going to use it as a target pistol more, I'd definitely black out the front sights. I really don't like those high-vis sights for a 22 target pistol. Maybe for something that you're using out hunting, okay, great. What are you going to choose? Are you going to go with an autoloader? Are you going to go with a revolver? You're going to do like I did and just get both. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time on Espresso with Saul.